で読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているエキスしたいとで読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているしたいとで読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているエキスしたいとで読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直している
All right, let's get this show on the road. Yeah, here we go. Hey, sorry about that. 11 minutes late this morning. I'll be honest, I had a hard ass time getting out of bed. We just finally upgraded to a king size mattress, and how does any couple ever not sleep? Well, that's such a privileged thing to say, but holy crap. You have all of this extra space, and I, my girlfriend radiates heat like crazy. I sweat like crazy when we're in bed. But I was kind of cold last night. I slept really well. It was awesome. We also went to bed late. It was the grandparents' 52nd anniversary. Cheers. Cheers to that. Good morning. We played some high stakes 31 last night. It was awesome. And then let's see. Yeah, I had a good weekend. Otherwise, I had 3 Thanksgiving dinners back to back to back. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And you know what? We would go to dinner and then just go about our lives the next day until the next dinner. And I did hot yoga yesterday and sweat it all out, and it was so gross. My sweat was all cloudy and extra salty, way more salty than normal. I've been off of my diet because I've been eating that Thanksgiving dinner, baby. I made some tomato aspic, Kelly tradition dish. It's just tomato paste jello. So we definitely, and you know what? It tastes like a Bloody Mary, apparently. So we had a good weekend. I think that's about it. It's 8:14 Monday, November 22nd, Thanksgiving week. We got Thanksgiving plans this Thursday, and just gonna enjoy the holidays. Short work week. We love it. We love to see it, baby. But yeah, I did not want to get out of bed this morning, but I'm glad I did. I every Monday, really though, my girlfriend said she showed me a video of some girl, just one of those workout girls going hard, and then she's like, "Never miss a Monday, never miss a Monday." So I can't miss a Monday. And my my routine's changed, so it feels good, still feels good. I've gone from the isolated strength training. In the last couple weeks, I've been doing a lot of functional strength training, like CrossFit stuff, and F45, a lot of kettlebells, the pushing the weighted sleigh around, crap like that. It's been good. It's hard. I signed up for more Spartan races. I want to do more Spartan races, and I want to be, I want to kick ass at them. I turned my mic down just a smidge because I listened to a video of me playing video games yesterday, and my mic was way too loud. So if it's too loud right now, then let me know. But I feel like I don't have video games or anything going on in the background, so I should be loud. I also want to upgrade my mic. I don't know if I love this microphone anymore. But that about does it. So you know the drill. We do this live on Monday mornings. Book club on Cadence Podcast. Book club is live Monday mornings, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, or sometimes 10 minutes late, sometimes 15 minutes late, and then sometimes 10 minutes early. But it's about 8 a.m. And it's under Cadence Podcast on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and Streamlabs OBS. So we're live everywhere. And if you don't catch it live, you're listening to it later, either through the YouTube video or the Facebook video or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Usually comes up Tuesdays. So You know the drill. Come hang out if you want and share your insights and thoughts. Today we're going to talk about how to make friends by a tale as old as time. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I've listened to this before. I listened to this like 4 years ago. And I did the same with the E-Myth. I listened to the E-Myth like 4 years ago, and several books. And remember a lot of. I remember the book. I remember the whole thing, but for some reason I feel like the messages are so much stronger. They resonate more now going through them this time around. I don't know. So I really enjoyed it, but I had a lot of I had a lot of opposing thoughts, or just I always have an opinion. Everyone's got an opinion. So we're going to talk about it today. First, let's see who's Dale Carnegie. Oh, and if you didn't know this book was published originally in 1936. It's an old ass book, and it's been revised and edited twice. And this I think this edition is the 1981 edition, but the book is from 1936. How crazy! I don't know if there's a about the author. And I don't really know much about Dale Carnegie. He didn't talk about himself at all in here. So maybe we won't talk about who Dale Carnegie is. Yeah. All right. Sorry, I'm looking at it. All right. So, How to Win Friends, How to Influence People. The only book you need to lead you to success. It's more of a guide on business, how to influence people in business to kind of get your way, but general rules on just how to be a good person and make good quality friendships. The whole time, I'll talk about this later. But the book is a pretty much a guide of psychological exploitation, exploiting our psychological tendencies and other people's especially. So, the whole time I was listening to the book, I thought this just sounds like manipulation to get what you want, but in a wholesome sense. And I think the way the book was intended, it's not intended to manipulate people to get what you want. It's designed to teach you or to explain if you lack the skills, how to be really just to be a good person, and then the consequences of being a good what the consequences are of being a good person. Because in truth, if people like you and you're nice to people, people are gonna be nice to you and give you things and help you out, do favors for you, whatever. Be patient with you. So really, that really is the premise of life. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Is that Jesus? Cheers to Jesus. I fill my coffee to the brim and it keeps spilling. All right, so let's get into it. There's the book is broken into 4 parts, I believe. Part 1 is fundamental techniques in handling people. Part 2 is 6 ways to make people like you. Part 3, how to win people to your way of thinking. See what I'm saying? It's like manipulation. Win them to your way of thinking. And part 4 is how to be a leader. How to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. All right. Let's get my phone. So we're going to talk about it. Opening credits. Why this book was written. He says the sole purpose is to realize, utilize, and profit by your full potential. That's what Dale says. So let's move on. Let's get started. Part 1, fundamental techniques in handling people. I think the whole book is based around these 3 chapters. Oh, and you know what? At the end of each chapter, he pretty much gives a synopsis of what the principle is, what you're supposed to be doing, or what you should take away from the book. So I'm just going to go through each principle. I made notes. I'll talk about important notes. But chapter 1, principle 1: don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Yes, this is how to handle people. Don't be critical or condemn or complain. Harsh criticism will almost surely backfire. It is better to reward good behavior than to punish bad behavior. That's basic psychology. Positive reinforcement. Never criticize, condemn, or complain. Principle number 2, give honest, sincere appreciation. He talks about flattery, and most people use flattery in terms of using people as a means to an end. You soften people up and abuse them to get what you want. What's the right word that I'm looking for? But if you give sincere compliments, that's the same thing. It's flattery. But if you're not trying to get anything out of it, you're just trying to be a good person, then you'll win that person's heart over. So be a good person. Sincere flattery. Give honest, sincere appreciation. And principle 3, arouse in others an eager want. If you can do this, then he who can do this has the whole world with him. He who cannot walks a lonely way. Arouse in others an eager want. All actions come from an individual want. Yep, no one ever does anything except for what they want to do. And if someone has a gun to their head and is compelled to do something, they're still doing it because they don't want to be shot in the head, or they want the apprehender to go away, or whatever. They want the situation to end. Be interested in other people's wants. Understand the other person's perspective. See things from their angle and instead of our own. Yeah, and I made a thought. I took a thought down. Well, and it comes from this note. If you want someone to do something or to help you, make them believe it is their idea by talking about their wants rather than our own. That's why I said, this seems manipulative, all of it. Coercing people, even sincerely, to get them to do what you want. And then I later on said, seems like this is more of a book on how to be a good person rather than how to manipulate people for your own advantage. A consequence to being a good and sincere person is cooperation and good standing. It's just the truth. So this, if you want to get what you want, using the terminology "get what you want" seems it seems negative, kind of derogatory, but it seems very selfish, but it's not really the case. It's just it's just the way. It's just that's just what being a good. If you're a good person, you get other people to work with you. Like if you're nice to your coworkers or you're nice to your boss, you're gonna get raises and shit. You're gonna have a good position in your office. So what's your intent, I suppose, is a huge question. Are you trying to get what you want are you trying to use other people as a means to an end? Because there was another book that we talked about that said that's probably the most vile thing a person can do to another person, is to use someone's goodwill as a means to your own end. I think that comes from Everything is Fucked, the Mark Manson book, but I don't remember. All right, that's part 1. The fundamental techniques in handling people. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Give honest, sincere appreciation, and become genuinely interested. in other people. Whoops, that's part 2. The last principle was arouse in others an eager want. Really, yeah, and yeah, arousing in others an eager want, he says, is to do this, you bait the hook to suit the fish. You talk about what other people want. You talk to them as if you are them, and you talk about their interests, their desires, and feels good to talk about yourself. That's psychology as well. People like to talk about themselves. So, yeah, if you want someone to do something for you or to help you, make them believe it's their idea by talking about their own wants rather than yours. All right. Part 6. 6 ways to make people like you. Principle 1. Become genuinely interested. Genuinely? That sounded like, what's his name? XQC, the streamer, the Canadian streamer. Become genuinely interested in other people. Principle 2, smile. Principle 3, a person's name is to that person the sweetest thing they can hear. Principle 4, be a good listener. Encourage people to talk about themselves. Again, this is how to make people like you. Smile. Become genuinely interested in them. Say their name. Be a good listener. Encourage them to talk about themselves. Principle 5, talk in terms of the other person's interest. It's kind of the same thing as the previous. Principle 6, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. 6 ways to make people like you. Yeah, like I said, this is just kind of a guide on how to be a nice person. To make people like you. Yeah, because if you're a good person, if you're a nice person, people are going to like you. If you're interested in them, if you smile at them, call them by their name, listen to them, talk about their interests, make them feel important. Yeah, people are going to like you. Another thought I did have too was it seems like a lot of the principles, we'll talk about it later too when it comes to the business part, is it seems like, oh no, I forgot to hit the record button. Yeah, it's too late now. I hope that doesn't screw it up. So, a principle that, or a thought that I had too, it seems like a lot of these, or he talks about these principles like you are aware of everything, and the people you're trying to win over are kind of dumb. Because if you're familiar with these principles, like I can tell when someone's trying to do this to me, and not maliciously. It's sincere, but it feels like it's kind of forced. Have you ever had that happen where someone is just trying to be nice, but you could tell it's kind of out of their, and I'm sure I've been that way too. I'm sure I'm that way most of the time. But he kind of talks like, oh, if you walk into your boss's office and notice he has animal head trophies mounted on his walls, and you talk about hunting, the boss is just gonna go off talking about his hunting trips, and you're just, oh yeah, so tell me more about when you were hunting in Africa, and then whatever, and then because that's what happened in the 1930s. That's who your boss was in 1936. And he acts like the boss isn't aware of sweet talking. It's like sweet talking, like flattery. But to do it sincerely that's tough. To be a sincere person and to be actually interested in others. Maybe that's the difference. Is the people that I'm talking about where I've been like, this seems really forced. You kind of have to put the reps in before it becomes sincere. I think that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And I've said that expression way too many times over this weekend, and I got to stop saying that. It makes me think of Bruce Almighty, and I don't know, and I haven't watched Bruce Almighty, and I don't know why it keeps coming back into my brain. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I don't know. I don't know if I think it's a repetition thing. You have to actually, if you're not currently interested in other people, and these principles don't come naturally to you, and you want to be a nicer, happier person, you got to practice them. And I bet just like you practice anything else, they'll come off insincere, and you'll come off. It'll be forced, and it won't be super pleasant. But eventually, you actually become interested in other people. So yeah, I cut my finger peeling potatoes. Hurts really bad. So that's all I got to say. I don't think that like it's he taught. Okay, here's a better way to say it. These principles are written out like everyone you're talking to is the most gullible person on the planet, and the most easily manipulated. But I think people are more cynical than. But also, that's a negative. That's a pretty. That's a pessimistic view of other people. I actually think most people, in truth, are really nice and kind and want to be like this. I think most people are friendly. And yeah, so I guess if you're not already friendly, these are the guides on how to do it. And if these principles don't come naturally to you, and and you want to implement them, it might come off insincere. And then when you cross the threshold of being a good, I learned how to be interested in other people from my mission. There's no doubt about it. A lot of this came from my mission. And in fact, they should have given this book out to missionaries, to Mormon missionaries. This should have been part of the canon that missionaries are allowed to read, because this really I learned how when you talk about how to make people like you or fundamental techniques of handling people, never criticize or condemn, give honest and sincere appreciation of others, be genuinely interested in, I keep skipping that one. Arouse in others an eager want. Listen, as a missionary, if I was taught as a missionary, arouse in others an eager want to be interested in the discussion or whatever, you can take that you can take that far as a missionary. You can take it far in business. But this is my personal experience. And then I'm thinking about summer sales too. Arouse in others an eager want. Don't talk about your wants. Don't I want to baptize you. I want you to come to church. I want to have these lessons with you. Talk about their wants. And these people that you go teach as missionaries, a lot of them are the most receptive people are usually the most vulnerable. And vulnerable in a lot of different ways. Some people are. I had friends who go to third world countries and teach the gospel to third world country people, and who were very receptive because the message is full of hope. A lot of people live in poverty and live very minimal lives, and then when they meet the missionaries talk about hope, and then the church offers tons of support to impoverished people. So, of course, you don't talk about, I want to baptize you and I want you to come to church. You talk about their wants. And in California, there's, a lot of people have all the things that they want. They're not really looking for another religion. But as you can take that principle anywhere. Instead of talking about your wants as a missionary, you knock on doors and talk about their wants. People love I think the number one selling point, in air quotes, is families. You talk about other people's families. If you get them talking about their own family, and then you talk about then that leads you as a missionary to talk about the gospel, the church's position on eternal families. And that's a very attractive principle for people. The tricky part is to convince them to believe. Most people are like, I love my family, and when I die, I hope I get to live with them afterwards, or I'm going to, because God is not cruel. And then as a missionary, you got to convince them, well, you can only do it if you believe in the restored gospel that Joseph Smith had been manifested to, or however you say that. You got to believe in Joseph Smith. But they're like, well, we already believe that our families are eternal. That was California. The Californians were like, well, we love our family and we're already going to be together in heaven. Why do we need to believe in Joseph Smith? Okay, there you go. Talk about other people's wants. This book should be missionary canon for sure. Yeah, how to make people like you, become genuinely interested in them. Are you leaving to the gym? Let's get your grind on, baby. Have a good one. Okay, I'll call you later. Become genuinely interested in them. Smile at them. I mean, it's just yeah, you get what the point. You get what I'm trying to say. I mean, I had a professor at Utah State who was one of the coolest dudes I ever met, and I had a few of those actually. One of them, he was older. He's my English teacher. I took English 1010 and then English 2010 from him and aced both classes, not because of my superiority in the English literature, but because of my relationship with the teacher, honestly. He was a very interesting guy, and I was curious to know about him. So I sat. Well, to be frank, I in the first semester I sat away from him. I sat in the back because I didn't want to go to school, like most people. I guess. But when I would go to his class, he would always be interesting and have cool stories and stuff. So I eventually started sitting closer to the front and talking to him and coming early to class to talk to him and sticking after class after to talk to him, and we talk about his life and my life and then work assignments, the class assignments. And and I learned these principles from being a missionary, and it helped me be a friendly, interested person, genuinely interested in him, which allowed him to be receptive and lenient with me. And really, it just was, and then it was easy. Then our relationship was awesome. And whenever I fucked up on work, he would talk to me and we'd correct it, and then I would get good grades. And then the teachers that you don't have good relationships with are usually the hardest classes. I learned that lesson in college. It's good to have these principles in college with your professors, and then with your boss and with your job and your family, your parents, your spouse, whatever. It's just how to be a good person. When you're interested in make other people feel good, they're gonna be nice to you. God damn, we're on it. We're on it, baby. So that's part 2. Those 6 points, how to make people like you. Part 3, how to win people to your way of thinking. I'll go really quick through these as well. I think there's 13 points. The first principle is to avoid arguments at all costs, which I think is critical. When the part 1 talks about to don't condemn or complain, don't condemn other people or complain. The point is the negative engagements benefit nobody. Debates. This is an interesting thing for me to think about because a lot of people these days love to debate, and I think you can have wholesome debates without conflict or without malice. But a lot of people take things personally and then become resentful towards the other person. So the point is, just don't argue. And he lists ways on how to prevent disagreements from becoming an argument. Welcome the disagreement. Distrust your own first instinct or impression. Control your temper. Listen to the other person first. Look for areas of agreement, and then admit your own errors. Be honest. And commit to studying your opponent's position and thank them for their interest. Going back and forth and disagreeing. And you know what? I kind of learned this lesson the hard way. Because growing up, I still hate contention. And I hate disagreements. And I resent it. Holy crap. You can ask my mom and my dad. I with anybody. with my family, with my friends, with strangers. I don't like watching other people argue or yeah, the contention sucks, so I avoid it. And I kind of learned how to avoid it. I used to avoid it very immaturely or irresponsibly, and I would kind of just ignore other people, but I learned how to do these things to disengage and diffuse bad disagreements or hard disagreements, and especially to prevent them from becoming arguments or points of contention. Welcome the disagreement and distrust your own impressions. Control your temper. Listen first to the other person. Look for areas of agreement. Be honest, admitting your own errors, and commit to studying the other person's positions and thank them for their interest. So, principle 1 in how to win people to your own way of thinking: avoid arguments. Principle 2, show respect for other opinions. Never tell someone they're wrong. Telling someone they're wrong is like punching them in the face. No one likes to be told they're wrong, even if they're wrong. The better way to handle people when they're wrong. I guess this depends on who you're talking to, because if you're a grocery store clerk and someone's arguing with you over the price of something, they scan the item and it comes up to $50, and they said, "Oh, there was a sticker on there that said $20. It was only $20." I don't know why this is the first thing that came to my head, but it makes the most sense right now. Instead of being the grocery clerk saying, "Actually, it's $50, look at the machine," say, "Oh, okay, well, there must be some mistake on our end, and we'll figure it out." And then walk with the customer and talk with them and go get a manager and look up the items and shit and look for the discounts. And guess what? Sometimes the grocery stores are wrong. Sometimes the grocery stores forget to do something, and then it turns to $20. Or the lady was wrong or the guy was wrong. It doesn't always have to be a Karen. Karens aren't always women. And then they'll learn, oh, look, I see this. So it was either put in the wrong place or the sticker was put in the wrong place, but this item's actually $50. And then they can decide what they want to do. But instead of saying no, instead of just never tell people they're wrong. That's the point. Principle 3, if you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Principle 4, begin in a kindly, friendly way. Oh, that's it. Begin in a kindly, friendly way. Conversations and interactions. I made that note. Begin your conversations and interactions kindly and friendly. Principle 5, and again, this is how to win people to your way of thinking. Principle 5, get customers to say yes, yes. This is a selling point. If you're trying to sell something, there's some psychological study where if you are trying to sell something and you ask them a question and their response is no, the chances of them buying from you decrease significantly. So you want to ask them simple questions that get them to say yes twice, and the chances of them buying from you skyrocket. So whatever that means for you in your business. But for me in my business in carpet cleaning, the questions are simple, like, do you have carpet in your home? And if they say no, then I don't have any business with you. But the obvious answer is yes. And they say, and then I'd come up with another question, like, do you have carpet in your home? Yeah, I've got carpet. Oh yeah, okay. The stupid first one that I thought of is, do you walk on your carpet? Duh. But you say something like that, and they're like, yeah. Or does your carpet get any traffic? And they'll say, yeah. And you say, okay, well, then it's really important for me to come clean your carpets. All right. That's principle 5. Principle 6, let the other person do most of the talking. Yep. Hey, you know what they say. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Do twice as much listening as you do talking. Just like why? Because I don't talk to anybody except on the podcast. I do all the talking. And guess what? If you're here, you just gotta fucking listen. Principle 7, get the other person to think your idea is their own. So this is where the manipulation part kind of comes into play, I think. But the point is, if you, let's say you want, I can apply this to another book that we read, The 4 Hour Work Week. And at the end of that book, he gives examples of how to convince your boss to let you work remotely. And a lot of his philosophy is this book as well. So you want to be a nice, kindly, friendly person to your boss. But if your idea is to turn your 40-hour work week into at your job to your home and work remotely, but that's not your boss's idea, you need to do things to allude to your boss that it's his idea. And the book in the 4 Hour Work Week, he talks. What was his name? Andrew something. He says first, a really good way to get into that world is call in sick for a week, or you had surgery and you have to work remotely. And of course this is for jobs that allow you to do this, or that you can work. You're capable of doing this remotely. So you call in for a week, say I have surgery, I can't come in for a week, but I can work from home, and then make your own production skyrocket. So perform exponentially better than you normally do at work. So let's say you make 40 sales calls, or close 40 sales at your job, close 60, close 70, close 80. And then when you return to work the next week, sit down with your boss and say, I don't know what happened, but when I was at home, my productivity skyrocketed. Did you notice? The boss might notice or something. And then do other things to allude, to give your boss the own idea, to say, you know what, do you want more? Would you like to work remotely? And you're like, oh, wow. So make the idea come from the other person. And is that manipulative? Kind of, but it's not malicious. If you want to keep your job, but you want to change the nature of your job, the best way for everyone is to make the idea come from somebody else. And it makes me think of Rick and Morty, where in season 4, when they do the heist episode, and Morty wants to write a script for a heist movie, or he wants to pitch it to Netflix, but Rick doesn't want him to. But he does a psychological war with Morty, and makes Morty think that his script is dumb, because Rick thinks it's dumb, but it comes from anyway. It also happens in season 1 when they go into Morty's math teacher to convince him to give Morty a good grade in math. I love Rick and Morty. I love Rick and Morty. That's principle 7. Principle 8. Try honestly to see everything from the other person's point of view. Principle 9. Be sympathetic with the other person's desires and ideas. What everybody wants to be sympathized with. Principle 10. Appeal to the nobler motives. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Principle 11. Dramatize ideas. Dramatize your own ideas. Principle 12. Throw down a challenge. The example that he gives for Principle 12 is Andrew Carnegie. I don't know if they're related, but Andrew Carnegie's the steel guy, and he was going around his steel mills, and one of his factories was underperforming, and the manager approached Andrew and said, I don't know what to do to get these guys to work harder and to produce like the other mills. And Andrew did something very simple, and he asked the day crew at the end of their shift, how many work projects did you get done? They said 9, or they said 7 or something, and he chalked a big 7 on the floor in the break room, and then left, and that's all he did. And then the night crew came in, and they saw the big 7, and they said, oh, okay, well, so now we're up against the clock, all right. And so the night crew cranked out 9, and then the day crew came back and says, oh, okay, so they think the night crew thinks they're better than us. The day crew cranks out 12, and then the night crew comes, and you see what I'm doing? All Andrew had to do was impose a little challenge, some friendly competition, and that's what they did. That's what he did to make steel. So that's part 3, how to win people over to your way of thinking. Part 4, be a leader. This one's it's got 9 chapters. Principle 1, begin with praise and honest appreciation. See how much appreciation there is? Honest and sincere appreciation. It's critical to be genuinely interested in other people and just to be a nice person. That's the only way you're going to get the foot in the door with anybody. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. Principle 2, call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Okay. Principle 3, talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. In the part 1, he says to never criticize, but as a boss, you have to keep a business going, and I guess Andrew Carnegie's method of chalking the workload down on the floor is an indirect way of saying you can do better, or you can do more than what you're doing, and they could, and they did do more. So that's an indirect way of saying let's step it up. Let's step it up. So call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Principle 3, talk about your own mistakes before criticizing others. Oh, that's what I just said that one. Principle 4, ask questions instead of giving direct orders. Principle 5, let the other person save face. Don't embarrass them, especially in front of other people. That'll make people resent you quicker than anything. Principle 6, be hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise. I actually never learned what approbation means. Let me look. The phrase does not come from Dale Carnegie. It comes from someone else. Approbation means approval. So, be hearty in your approval and lavish in your praise. Yep. Okay, that's got to go away. Okay, chapter 7. Give the person a great reputation to live up to. Give a dog a good name. Principle 8. Use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct when someone screws up. And principle 9. Make the other person happy about doing the things you suggest. That one rings true especially from the E-Myth book. No one's going to want to work for you or engage in your projects if they don't believe in it, and if they're not happy, if their environment's not good or happy or supportive of it. So make the other person happy about doing the things you suggest, by making everything comfortable for them, but also pushing them in that direction. And usually that means you got to hire people that believe in your vision, and that means your vision needs to be very clearly stated and explained to other people, so you get the right kind of people to work for you or with you. So that's part 4, be a leader. Pretty straightforward. And then that's the rest. That's the book. How to win friends and influence people. So really, the point of the book, be genuinely interested in other people and don't make other people feel bad. And you can use these kinds of tactics to get your way, to influence people to do what you want or to get what you want. Tactics like getting them to talk about themselves and make the ideas come from themselves. Make your ideas come out of their mouth. So it seems a little manipulative, and it kind of is technically, but it's not malicious. It's sincere, I guess. So, any other thoughts on the book? Because it's the audiobook. It's funny, the audiobook is old, it's probably from the 90s, and a couple other books that what was the other one? There was another one I read or I listened to from back then. They take the CD editions and just digitalize them, and they get CD breaks and they play music, orchestrate or with orchestras. It's funny, but the audiobook was really good. Think that's it. Don't be a dick. And usually you can get what you want, but don't be an asshole. So we're gonna end on that. Don't be an asshole. Thanks for showing up to another episode of Book Club, baby. You know the drill. This goes live on Mondays. If you're listening to this later, the chat was very quiet today, which is just fine because I love to talk about the book to an audience of none. Or if you're listening silently, that's awesome too. But we do this live on Mondays. It's almost 9 a.m. now, under an hour. That's the perfect amount of time. And we do it on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook under Cadence Podcast. I haven't changed. I don't know if I should change the name to Book Club, the name of the whole podcast, but the little series that we're doing right now is called Book Club. But it's all under Cadence Podcast. So if you're listening to this later on, you're welcome to join me. Share your thoughts on how to win friends and influence people. And that's where we're at. So this week, Thanksgiving, don't be a dick to your family. And don't manipulate them to get more stuffing from someone else. Just be a good person. Especially in a world today where we are so... The media manipulates our thoughts so intensely. I actually, if anyone's still listening, they should listen to the episode of Joe Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan Experience, with Tristan Harris and something Schetzenberger or something that just recently. If you remember, Tristan Harris was one of the brains behind The Social Dilemma from a year ago, and we seem to have forgotten it. But that show scared the shit out of most people. But it was exposed how dangerous social media and the internet is. And we all got really scared for a minute. And then 2 weeks later, we all forgot about it. So he went back on and talked more about especially this metaverse with Zuckerberg, how dangerous AI and AGI, which means artificial general intelligence, is or can be, especially when used inappropriately. We're bombarded with a bunch of information to manipulate our way of thinking. So the simple case is politics. We get super heated up over political debates and whatever's happening in the news. But we're all being manipulated all the time. That's the point I'm trying to make. We're all being manipulated, all of us, because these guys profit from our engagement in Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. They profit from us sharing our thoughts and logging in. Oh, a lot of indigestion. And TikTok just steals your data. Anyway, we're all being manipulated. So these businesses should have a higher level of integrity and not manipulate us for their profit. Like I said, that's the most vile thing another human can do, is to manipulate someone for their own gain, maliciously. So, just be a good person. Stay off social media, probably. Engage with people in real life. I had an interesting thought last week. I was thinking about social media as a means of counterfeit interaction, and I thought pornography is counterfeit. Pornography is counterfeit sex, and these things. Porn feels good. It's fun to watch. Social media, it feels good. It's fun to get likes and comments on your videos and your posts and stuff, but the interactions aren't real. They're not real. It's counterfeit. It's counterfeit engagement. It's counterfeit stimuli, but it's so easily accessible. I had this. I went deep in that rabbit hole last week. I might try to do. Never. I'm not gonna say it until I do it. So engage in real interactions. Dale Carnegie didn't have any social media in 1936. He just had he just had books and a type. He probably wrote that on a typewriter. But he talks about real engage. Make sure your engagements with other people is genuine. Oh, mashed potatoes. Oh, oh crap! Missed the whole thing. That's okay. You know how it goes. It comes live later on, so or you can restart it and watch it like you were here the whole time. But I'm always appreciative of you showing up. Even if you don't listen, you're just a good person anyway. And I'm gonna gas you up because it's Monday, and it's Thanksgiving. So that's what I had. That I was going down a rabbit hole last week on counterfeit engagement, counterfeit stimuli, and that's exactly what these um, Tristan Harris and the Schwarzenberger guy. I don't even know if that's even close to the other guest's name, but that's what they're saying. Our interactions online are all fake, and a lot of the accounts on the internet aren't even real. They said something like 4 billion accounts are taken down on Facebook every quarter, every 3 months. Get off social media. Yep, I'm off. Like I said before, I'm off all of the. And my engagement on Instagram is awesome. I don't get on Facebook. I don't get on Twitter, but I do still get on TikTok. I should just delete it. But TikTok is another. It's a entertainment counterfeit. But here's my dilemma with the counterfeit thing. We humans have always craved stimuli. That's why I think that's why we've become so innovative. Is we've looked for easier ways to do things, easier ways to live, and easier ways to get entertainment. Humans have always tried to be. No one wants to be bored, hungry, sick, tired. No one wants those things. So we look for ways to either distract ourselves from them. This is all about our book from last week too. Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet. No one wants to be bored, so we come up with ways to not be bored. And TikTok right now, social media in general, but TikTok especially, drowns us in stimulus, drowns us in entertainment, and it's so it feels really good, but it's so artificial. So the question is, how do you replace artificial entertainment with what's the opposite of artificial? Legit? What's the word? I can't think of it. How do you, with real or just genuine? Oh wow, artificial. I'm gonna Google this shit. Mashed potatoes is gonna have a answer before I can Google it, but antonym. Whoops. Antonym artificial. What is the synonym? No, I don't want synonym. I want antonym. That's why I typed antonym. It's real, but I want to. That's not the word I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm looking for it. There's a different word on my brain. It's like I want like genuine entertainment, but genuine entertainment isn't like the most. It's not always the most pleasant. Nice vest, dude. It's freezing. You know how it goes. You're a blue collar worker just like me. You got to stay warm. I got this Carhartt one. It's awesome, man. It's got this wool on the inside. You can't miss. Okay, I'm not gonna find the word, but you get what I'm saying. TikTok entertainment is it's just not real entertainment. It's just stimuli going on in our brain, and we're not gaining anything from it. I think that's the point. It feels good, but we're not gaining anything as individuals by mindlessly scrolling TikTok. So what do you replace that with? I really think you replace that kind of entertainment with social entertainment. And that can be playing board games with friends and family, or playing a sport, or like like exercising, because you're getting the same kind of dopamine release doing those things, but they come with a reward. The reward of playing board games with your friends is the social interaction, and the reward for exercising is a healthier body and mind. Google says the two opposite words for artificial are genuine and sincere. Yeah. So okay, thank you. So genuine entertainment is what I'm going for, and genuine entertainment, it really can also be just sitting around. I don't know why the first thing I thought of is sitting around a campfire, but sitting around a campfire with your friends, that's genuine entertainment, because the reward is the social engagement. And you might go camping to go sit around a fire, or you just make a fire in your backyard. These kinds of entertainment. So our brain craves this kind of entertainment, distraction, and stimulus, because we're just animals. We're creatures, and I mean, if you've ever hung out with a border collie, my friend has a border collie, shy gamer girl, and she's the most fetch intense dog I've ever met. She only wants to play fetch. Only. She craves that stimuli all of the time, every waking moment of her life. And it's actually insane. Actually, it's another XQC phrase. Actually. So yeah, we crave this. We crave the distraction, but make it genuine, make it sincere. Hang out with other people, or do things that are productive, that because it might not be like watching porn is so stimulating, because you get so much visual and you get so much variety, whereas when you're just having sex, you're usually just with, I mean, you can be with one person or a few, whatever your kink is. I'm not kink shaming, but no matter what, your real sex interactions are going to be less stimulating than engaging in watching tons of porn. But the reward for engaging in real sex is far, far, far more genuine and rewarding than watching porn. Same thing with social media. That's the point. That's why these things are so dangerous. It's all counterfeit. It's counterfeit entertainment. It's counterfeit sex. It's counterfeit social relationships, and they need to be seen that way. They need to be viewed that way. I just outed myself as an orgy guy. Yeah, I have orgies. I have regular orgies. Ogre orgies. I when I see orgy, I only think ogre. I'm also dyslexic. I'm a dyslexic orgy guy. How come the words to describe impairments are usually the hardest to, are directly related to the impairment? Like the word lisp is a direct insult to people with lisps, and dyslexic is a direct insult to people with dyslexia. Who's coming up with these words? All right. So the book, Mashed Potatoes, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You're a good guy, but go get yourself a little recap, a little refresher on how to be a good person, and really you can get the most out of life. Like the purpose of the book is to. Let me read it one more time. So after we talked about it, the purpose of this book, the sole purpose is to realize, utilize, and profit from your full potential. And your full potential is to be the best person you can be, because by being the best and nicest person you can be, people will be on your side and they'll support you and encourage you, and you'll just be directly rewarded for it. So that's Dale Carnegie, motherfuckers. Let's go get after it. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week. And I'll be here with a new book Monday, unless Thanksgiving gets to me like crazy. I read that book in high school. You also read Jesus the Christ in high school, and I don't even know if I finished that on my mission. You actually read a ton of books. You used to be a reader. Now look at you. Now you're kind of pathetic when it comes to the reading. Read it again, my guy, or listen to the podcast. Start it over. Um, thanks for showing up. Have a great week. We'll be here next week. Ciao.
で読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直して